In these new times, artists and performers across Central Florida are creating very special ways to connect with the world. They're sharing their gifts and inspiring us right from their living rooms. You're watching Live from Home on Vision TV. I'm Renata Sago, your host. We've got some exciting conversation, this time from the one and only Mad Cow Theater in Orlando. It's all starting in 3, 2, 1. I'm Renata Sago, your host. It takes a mix of creative genius and military precision to produce live theater. Well, enter COVID and the whole scene changes. Mad Cow Theater, like many companies across the country, took its productions online. The company also introduced an exciting new series of conversations highlighting women writers. It's called the Women's Voices Festival. Joining us with more about the series is Jessica Kashuv, company manager for Mad Cow. Hey, Jessica, good to see you.
Hi, hello. It's good to be here.
It is so great to see you in is this your home?
Yes.
Well, it's nice. It's nice for you to be there. So I first visited Mad Cow Theater, maybe it was about 3 years ago. It was in the context of a Spanish play, a Spanish read-through, and I was there with my Spanish class, and I remember loving the space. And now I'm thinking back, with the 6 feet social distancing rule, that totally would not work. How much would the theater size be reduced to?
Yeah, so there's 2 spaces currently in the venue, and one's around 140 seats and the other one is around 60 seats. And so adhering to those social distancing safety standards, it makes it like 10 in one space and maybe 20 to 30 in the other space, depending on how you work it out. So
Wow.
not exactly conducive to great full audiences that we're used to.
Right, yeah. Well, for years, Mad Cow Theater, you all have featured performers, artists from different cities, different parts of the country, but you guys have done something very special here. At what point did you decide that you wanted to take things online and highlight women writers in particular?
Well, it came about, I think, in 2 different thought processes. Mitzi Maxwell, the executive director of Mad Cow Theater, was pretty quick to jump on board on figuring out how to use the online tools. There are many, many different thoughts on the artistic content and quality of doing Zoom theater, and it's more for the past few months. But she was pretty quick to say, hey, let's try this. Let's see how we can get some of the programs that we have been doing up online. So the first thing we did was the Science Play Festival, which was canceled due to COVID. Usually takes place in March. And so we were able to launch that in a different format through a Facebook live stream.
Okay.
And a couple different science play panels. And then
what is a science play, though? What is a science play? I like science. Is it sort of, how does that process work?
Yeah, so a science play is a certain genre of play, kind of a niche genre, that examines a topic of science from a historical aspect, either historical figure or it's bringing up a certain aspect of science, like physics. There's a play called Silent Sky by Lauren Gunderson, and we've produced that before at Mad Cow Theater. And that specific topic looks at Henrietta Leavitt, and she was one of the first female astronomists and discovered the distance between stars and Earth way back in the early 1900s. So that's like a certain topic that revealing different aspects of science through plays.
Okay.
And so we and so going from there were some different programs and thoughts on what we could do, and we did a few readings of plays we've done in the past and trying to connect with the audience that has been coming year after year through drama club events that we also do in person, but we shifted them to an online Zoom meeting, but kept it casual and fun, and talked a little bit more about the plays and their background. And then we had to start thinking about new programs and things that we wanted to keep doing as we saw that the virtual landscape was going to be our producing tool for a lot longer than expected. And so the Women's Voices Festival, it's a new play festival we sought submissions for new work that hadn't been produced. And it's been a topic of conversation to produce something like this for the past 2 or so years.
Okay.
And so now it was, let's try this virtually. Let's seek submissions and try to get a week-long festival up and running in 2 months, which was a little insane. But
but you look calm. You look calm after the storm. Well, let's check out some of the videos from the festival itself.
Hi there, this is Mitzi Maxwell. So great to see you tonight and welcoming you to the first project within our Women's Playwriting Festival. This has been a dream that we've had for a number of years, and we're thrilled to kick it off tonight.
Standpoint, it was very interesting drawing on the acting training that I have, and then also just everything else that was just trained into me since I was like 10.
I think one of the things I love about theater is it's a collaborative art. I don't have to solve all the problems. I can let my director do that, and the designers, and I love that, you know, I'm never happier than when I'm in the rehearsal room solving those problems as a group. Anyone, is there a type of theater that or subject matter that specifically excites you, or something that really inspires you to write? What turned you on? What?
Female-led, Sarah Rule, Paula Vogel, smart women doing smart things, and yeah, female protagonists that really always makes me happy.
Yeah, me too. I think taking risks. For me, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be political. It doesn't have to be on the nose right now. It doesn't have to be those things. In some ways, I just really like good theater. I mean, I really, really sit up when there's good dialogue and something unexpected. I love to be surprised. That's probably my favorite thing when I go to the theater, is to be just surprised at what I'm watching, and I'm not ahead of it.
Let's talk a little bit about process. Each play selected for the festival is at a different stage in its development. Laura, you mentioned that this was a play that you had put away and then brought out again, and I think that can be very exciting sometimes in rediscovering a play and coming at it with fresh eyes. I think, Alice, yours is brand new. Is that correct? You're even writing new scenes as you're working on it here. Some of the other plays have had some development along the way. So what has people's process been, or where's your play right now?
Hopefully it's done. Hopefully I don't have to write any more scenes. I came in thinking, I was like, okay, it has a beginning, middle, and end. We're fine. We're great. We're gonna do some polishing. We're gonna make sure those words are real tight, and we're gonna make sure those maybe we'll switch some sentences around. I don't know. And then shout out to our festival's dramaturgs, because our Meredith, she just asked me like one question, and I was like, I need to rewrite an entire scene. Oh no, I need to, because I know she was right. And so the scene became twice as long and all this stuff, and hopefully, God willing, and the creek don't rise, it's done. Because at this point, I don't I wouldn't want to mess with it anymore. I like what I have. I think what the actors are doing are really cool. I'm satisfied with the message that it sends. But it was just really exciting because I was like, I'm done with this slog of writing my first full-length play, and it's hanging out at like 70 pages, and that's not even too long. It's great. And then I went through all of this, and this has been the most exhausting week since quarantine started.
I love the chat going on right now among the playwrights. Laura writing, are they ever done? And somebody else wrote, right. Yeah. What's your process been with a dramaturg? How has that served you?
That's been real fun. I've never had one as a playwright before. It was really fun and interesting.
Communication. And I thought that was just interesting. And I didn't know which play I wanted to write, the orangutan play or the autism play. And I had my two experts come into the room, and the playwright is supposed to interview them. But I had one question in, and they just talked to each other the whole time.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, okay, that's the play. That's the play. And it sort of just led me on an exploration of what it is to be neuronormative, what it is to explode expectations of to be a woman, communication, and it's about learning to communicate and how one person's communication is not necessarily better than another person's form of communication.
Okay, great. And Laura, your process, you're writing a romantic comedy, which is so nice to see something that has such fully realized characters who are deep, but yet there's also a lot of humor in your play. And I love the theatricality of going from scene to scene that you do. So how's this process been for you? And you said this is a play that you put away for a while and then got out again, right?
Yeah, this was in the back of my closet kind of play. This had been quiet for a while, but what's really fun is that this play kind of never got its day in a way. It's always been popular. It actually had a workshop production, and then it was standing ovation, and the way it was set up, it was very fun a long time ago, and it didn't get a review. And that just happens in New York City, and it was a kind of a shame at the time. And then years later, it came out and got a little something again, and it wasn't done as well. And that's when I kind of put it away, like, this play, not sure about it anymore. But it is set in the 1998, a very pivotal time period. It was during the Clinton scandal with Monica Lewinsky. And the fun part about working on it with Andrea is that we had this, and the director, Monica, we had a great discussion about the 90s, about the late 90s and what was happening with women and, going to work. And the whole play is a lot about work. It's a lot about finding yourself. Those are it's a romantic comedy, but it's really about friendships, and it's about finding yourself. And the internet was just taking off. AOL was
no texting, no iPhones yet.
No, there was the AOL in the play. There's a romance that goes on in the AOL texting, and there's some lines that are pretty funny because it's like, the internet is changing everything. And look at us now, So it's fun. It's and I think that those plays are the mirror of society, are there for a reason, because the plays that we write now are going to be looked at years later, and they're going to see, oh my gosh, you guys were all on Zoom. Here's the things that you were talking about in 2020.
Well, somebody mentioned starting to writing something because coming out of anger. And my first play was an angry response to the Anita Hill Clarence Thomas hearings. And it's still my most produced play 25 years later. And sadly, I thought it would be out of date by now. And of course, a lot of 25-year-olds or 20-year-olds, like you were talking about, had no idea who Clarence Thomas and Anita Hill really were until the Kavanaugh hearings. And then we were reliving history. Mm-hmm. So I even though you're not writing a historical play in the same way that Melissa is, we're looking at today's through that lens and looking at your play through the lens of today. This has been so much fun. Congratulations to you all. Mad Cow has made just a wonderful selection in choosing all of you. I want to remind everybody the readings are this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, starting with Kathleen tomorrow night. These are beautiful plays. These are stories worth telling, and they're well told. And I'm so excited for all of you. I can't thank Mad Cow enough for supporting new play development, especially of women playwrights. And anybody have one last thing to say?
Can you just say the name of your play, Arlene?
The one for Rollins College, or the one that's, it's As It Is in Heaven, will be at Rollins College in February. And then my play Letters to Sala continues to get done by a lot of high schools. So I'm working with different high school teachers on how to adapt it for Zoom, for online. So that's keeping me busy as well. I'm signing off now. Jess, do you want to say anything? Mitzi?
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure, a joy to work through, and I'm excited to hear and see all of the work this week, and I hope that our audience takes part and listens in and learns a little bit about this process. And thank you again. I just keep saying thank you all the time this week. So I'll go ahead and stop everything, and we'll see you in the Zoom room.
Great. Break legs, everybody.
Bye, thank you. Can I just say one last thing? This is really what women playwrights need. They really do need this kind of support.
You're right. You're so right.
100%. Thank you. Really lovely to meet all of you.
Yeah, you too.
Bye. Thank you, Arlene.
Bye.
Thanks, Arlene.
Bye.
One Stone, A True Story by Kathleen Cahill. 1. Maleva in a dark doorway.
I am one stone in a billion. In a billion! Do you hear me? In a billion!
The door slams in her face. Blackout. 2. The universe. The Milky Way. Violin music. 1897.
It's embarrassing. It's very embarrassing to be born with this ability. I didn't ask for it, and I don't particularly want it. Although, of course, I do want it, once I realize I have it. But as they say, it's like a dog who can talk, mildly interesting, but completely unnecessary. If you're a woman, to be good at mathematics doesn't add up. And to have ambition attached to this ability only makes it worse. Because I cannot talk myself into putting it into a drawer and forgetting about it. I cannot let the river of my life take its accustomed female course, because I know I cannot make myself feel useful just doing the household accounts, keeping a family budget, correcting the small errors in my parents' computations. It is always there, inside me, coursing through my blood, my heart, pumping it out, filling my brain with ideas and desires to understand, to learn, to know, to seek, to answer, to solve, to find the truth in the beautiful and graceful way that only a mathematical equation can. And that is only one of my problems. I also have a limp from a childhood illness. And I know from the look in my mother's eyes that I am sort of a bruised vegetable that will never leave the storage bin. Combined with this frightening intelligence that keeps popping out like a jack-in-the-box, I am a strange creature, unfeminine, marked for spinsterhood. I accept who I am, and then I watch my family try to accept me, pray for me, even try to be proud of me when I am admitted to the Polytechnic. My mother weeps, but I feel like singing. I hug her and leave home feeling that I'm going to the one place on earth where, of course, I will still never belong, but in a whole new way. I imagine myself experiencing a superior form of social rejection. I dream that I will become a physics teacher, proud, unmarried, and strict. But who will I teach? Classes full of men? Will they allow themselves to learn physics from a woman? Well, this is a question mark that hangs over my head like a dark curl. My professors say that I sit in class with masculine confidence, and this is not a compliment. I am quiet, as expected, and I am an excellent student. And this is not a compliment either. But I am happier than I have ever been in my whole life. Which is not very happy. But still, happiness was never my goal.
You know, it's so phenomenal because the presence, the power, you know, the influence of women in the industry is not something that is scientifically tracked. You know, we were talking about in the 80s, this being a conversation about, you know, the absence of women writers in the industry, and today it still is. What kind of collaborations have you all had? I saw you had someone from a playwright from Utah, and then you had sort of historical comedy and romance.
Yeah, so we had a very young playwright who basically just graduated college get into the festival in Philadelphia. Then we had two playwrights actually in Utah near the Salt Lake City area. One, Kathleen Cahill specifically, was a Pulitzer Prize finalist for one of her previous works. And the other one, she works on a lot of historical fiction aspects. And then we had one that's between California and New York in this pandemic, and one that's based in California. So they were all over the United States from that festival. And we're looking forward to our future mini fests that we've since announced to connect with even more women's playwrights, women plus playwrights.
Yeah, it's so exciting. You looking at the diversity of women's voices, you know, across the actual voice, lived experience, and ethnicity as well, which is super exciting. One thing that COVID seems to have really done for the theater itself is also brought more visibility, right, nationally, because Mad Cow Theater for some time has been regional. But you guys, can you talk a bit about that, the national, international visibility?
Yeah, definitely. I think for a lot of theaters that shifted to virtual programming have realized the same thing, that as a funny aspect in our marketing, we now have to be very specific, saying Eastern time zone. That is not something that we have ever had to consider from a live theater standpoint, because we're advertising to people who are coming to the theater locally. Like, somebody in Orlando doesn't need to know that it's Eastern time zone. Of course it is. And so I found that to be a funny thing that we've learned in marketing, because we are working with these artists all over the country. They're promoting it to their friends and family. They need to know, hey, we're in Mountain Time. It's not 7 o'clock Mountain Time, it's Eastern. So I think that's been great. And we've been able to connect with directors and actors who worked here in Orlando, or that we brought in to work here in the past, and we haven't been able to see them in a few years and work with them, and we've been able to bring them in. Specifically, Denise Gilman, since we mentioned science plays, she is a science play aficionado director. She actually has a website called scienceplays.org, and she has worked with us now 2 times this summer. after previously working like 1 or 2 times over the course of the past 10 years with us in person. So
Wow, wow.
It's been easy to engage people on these short little projects that we've been doing online.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny that you bring up the time zone thing. I think of the commercials for shows growing up, or even as an adult, 8 p.m., 8 Eastern, 7 Central, and that's what live theaters are now having to do. Well, how can people keep up with Mad Cow on social media?
We do have a Facebook page, Mad Cow Theater, and also Instagram. We're pretty active on both of those, and madcowtheater.com.
Wonderful. Well, Jessica Kashub, thank you so much for joining us and chatting up a bit about everything that's going on at Mad Cow.
Thank you. Can I also mention just a few things? We've talked about the positive sides of where we've gone from the COVID shutdown, but I do want to point out the many venues around the United States that are struggling and will need support to continue work and to reopen. So there's different things called We Make Events or hashtag Red Alert Restart. And there's also the Save Our Stages Act that are currently in proposals to help support arts and culture. And that if your viewers see this, and just remind them to donate to their local arts organizations, because we're still working, we're still doing things. They're only going to see about 20% of the work that we actually are doing right now.
Thank you so much for sharing that information. And yes, we must continue to support the arts. The arts, it's life. Life is art. Thank you so much, Jessica Kashub.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's show. You can find more episodes on demand at orangetvfl.net. Follow me as well at Renata Sago. We're looking for more talent too. I know it's out there. All you have to do is submit your video to live@orangetvfl.net through Dropbox or WeTransfer, and we might use it on a future episode of Live from Home. Until next time, stay amazing.